everyone, and welcome to Metropolitan Stadium.
Call it in the air, please.
Heads.
Heads, he called.
40 men together can't lose. Okay.
Opening day means many things to many people. For Philadelphia Eagle coach Dick Vermeil, it meant a chance to start off his second season with something no Eagle team had accomplished since 1967, an opening day victory. Vermeil's new quarterback, former Ram Ron the Polish Rifle Jaworski, passed for 2 touchdowns against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and made his own personal record as a starter 10-0. The Eagles won 13-3. Next for Jaworski and the Eagles, Ron's former teammates in Los Angeles. One of the few upsets even bigger than the Eagles winning an opener is for the Redskins to lose one, because in a dozen years of coaching openers, George Allen had never lost one, at least not until last week in Giants Stadium. George Martin's interception gave New York a 7-0 halftime lead and ample cause for celebration. But the Giants should have known the Redskins always come back in the second half. And sure enough, Billy Kilmer put Washington ahead with 17 points in the fourth quarter. But then before anyone knew what was happening, some very uncharacteristic activities took place. Number 89, Ed Marshall, was the recipient of this gift from the heavens. And then number 12, Jerry Goldstein, in his first official NFL game, found another heavenly gift, a wide-open receiver in the end zone. With the score now tied and time running out, a Washington fumble gave place kicker Joe Danello a chance to win the game. And miracle of miracles, after a decade of not beating any George Allen teams, the Giants have now done it twice in succession. And speaking of winning streaks, the Minnesota Vikings had not lost a home game since Roger Staubach's famous Hail Mary pass of season before last. And last week, the Vikings rolled through the Cowboys for an easy touchdown on their first possession of the game. Chuck Foreman's romp had the Vikings in the lead for most of the game, because most of the game was played out in the middle of the field by 2 tough and determined defensive clubs. To solve the purple puzzle on this particular day, Staubach picked out his peerless pair of Pearsons, and in particular, Preston Pearson. Preston Pearson played most of the game at the halfback slot, where many expected to see more of Tony Dorsett. But Pearson kept making the big plays, including the clutch catch, which finally gave Dallas the lead in the fourth quarter. Pearson had 15 carries and 5 catches for well over 100 yards. Tony Dorsett's pro debut consisted of 4 carries for 11 yards and a fumble. As Coach Tom Landry said later, "I want to see Tony get the experience, but this wasn't a good day for him to get experience." Late in the fourth quarter, Fran Tarkenton did what only he can do, and the Vikings came back to tie it. The Cowboys had a chance to win in regulation and blew it. But in overtime, Roger Staubach, in his own way, made sure of the outcome. As Staubach said later, I just put my head down. Sometimes it works, sometimes, well, I've got a few bruises. Staubach also got the Cowboys their 13th straight opening day victory, and that was worth a lot more than a few bruises. Buffalo's Rich Stadium, where quarterback Joe Ferguson returned from a year of injury carrying a football. It would be the last time a Bill would have a firm grip on things all afternoon. Through 4 rain-soaked periods, the Bills treated the football like bubonic plague, avoiding contact with it whenever possible. The veteran Miami Dolphins, on the other hand, occasionally showed a bit more poise, like on this 22-yard sprint by Norm Bulash, the game's only touchdown. But on a day like this one, Bulash's effort proved quite enough. Buffalo's strong offense never did get on track, as O.J. and company played water polo with every scoring opportunity. The Bills haven't beaten Miami since 1969. Last Sunday was no exception. But while there was sadness in Buffalo, there was good old down-home contentment in Houston, where Bum Phillips watched his special teams descend rudely upon the New York Jets. Actually, Jet punter Dwayne Carroll's failure to get this kick away didn't seem so bad in view of what happened later on when he was successful. For when punting to the Houston Oilers, a team must deal with the most explosive pair of white pumps on the continent, those worn by Billy White Shoes Johnson. Billy Johnson came within 1 block of breaking this one the distance. As it was, his 71-yard return set up one of Houston's 3 one-yard touchdown plunges, this one by rookie Rob Carpenter, as Houston shut out the Jets 20-0. Houston plays well at home in the Dome, and out west in Denver, the Broncos wanted badly to do likewise in their home opener, before the largest crowd in Colorado's sports history, 75,000 plus. At times, the visiting St. Louis Cardinals self-destructed, making Denver's task easy. But for the most part, St. Louis just plain old couldn't move against the defense fast gaining recognition as one of the NFL's superior units. Few teams have sacked Cardinal quarterback Jim Hart 3 times in a single game. Even fewer have shut his offense down completely. But the spirited Bronco defense did both. And when they asked the offense for help, Otis Armstrong delivered. Denver 7, St. Louis nothing. Hardly a thing of beauty. But for playoff-hungry Bronco fans, the results were mouth-watering. Bronco Roosters aren't the only optimistic fans at this early stage of the season. Out in Chicago, Bear fans likewise expect a fair shake from 1977. And every man, woman, and mascot looks to Chicago's new messiah to lead the way. The effortless stride and elusive grace belong to Walter Payton, the latest in a vintage line of Chicago Bear game breakers. A list that includes such football immortals as Red Grange, Beatty Feathers, George McAfee, Willie Gallimore, and most recently Gale Sayers, the man to whom Payton is most often compared. Like Sayers, Payton inspires and leads by example. He's the driving force behind Chicago's return to contention, the heartbeat of this young club, with all the natural gifts to earn himself a niche in the Hall of Fame. He didn't score on this 75-yard burst against Detroit, but he did score on 2 other occasions, and his 160 yards rushing helped Chicago control the football most of the afternoon. Against Detroit, the Bears got the kind of individual performances necessary to win crucial games, such as Steve Schubert's little stop-and-go maneuver against Detroit's punt coverage team. "73 yards later, the Bears were well on their way to a big Central Division victory. Many football analysts have picked this team to unseat the Minnesota Vikings as Central Division champions. But the Vikings say they fear the Lions more than the Bears. Perhaps it's time they had a change of heart. Comeback is a big word in the terminology of the Green Bay Packers. But for number 10, Lynn Dickey, it is the motivating force that keeps this often injured, often frustrated quarterback running. Throughout Dickey's 7-year career, injury and a weak supporting cast have combined to subdue number 10. But last Sunday against the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome, Dickey began getting some of the team help he has long needed, as the Packers sped to an early lead on the open field brilliance of number 40, Willard Harrell. Dazzling long-distance runs by Harrell are the things that will enhance Lynn Dickey's comeback, since they help achieve victory, a quarterback's ultimate criteria. Dickey certainly has the arm to win, and it is certain receivers like Ken Payne won't hurt his chances for a successful season. 24 first-half points confirmed the Packers' revival. But in the second half, the comeback tide shifted towards the game's other quarterback. Like Lynn Dickey, number 8 Archie Manning's injury-prone condition has combined with traditionally weak teams to keep him from fulfilling expectations. But last Sunday, Manning's once injured throwing arm showed total recovery. The Saints scored 20 second-half points, but despite 225 passing yards, Manning's bid for victory finally tumbled beneath a fourth-quarter Packer barrage. Archie's showing, however, confirmed that number 8 may well be ready to at last claim that great season which has thus far eluded him, while the Packers hope Lynn Dickey's strong initial bid will finally head the Packers down that rough and rocky comeback road. The Baltimore Colts aren't concerned with a comeback, but rather a continuation of last season. Burt Jones to Roger Carr showed mid-season form last Sunday as the Seattle Seahawks fell 29-14. Armed with last season's formula for success and stronger still in other areas, the facts are only teams with exceptional strength will seriously challenge the Colts this season. The New England Patriots figure to be one such threat, and headed by young Steve Grogan, number 14, New England debuted last Sunday by outmaneuvering the Kansas City Chiefs. "400 yards of total offense were amassed as big play and balance were used to perfection. Darryl Stingley showed but a little of their overall outside speed, and fullback Sam Cunningham, number 39, projected New England's power and quickness to the inside. Offense, however, would not win this game, but rather some high-risk defensive strategy. The Patriots frequently blitzed as many as 8 players to short-circuit Kansas City's explosive passing game, a gamble that paid off handsomely. This move proved the turning point in the game's final minutes, when Kansas City, threatening to win, could not pick up safety Tim Fox, who nailed Mike Livingston to preserve New England's 21-17 opening day triumph. New England collected the spoils made sweeter by chance, while Kansas City faced the sad realization that it is going to get worse before it gets better. In Cincinnati, the season sprang to life with Bengal fans convinced that they finally had the bodies to overtake Pittsburgh in the AFC Central. Top draft choices Eddie Edwards, number 73, and Wilson Whitley, number 75, are baby Brahma Bulls, and they have beefed up the middle of the Bengal defense. Whitley and Edwards have been side by side since the first day of training camp, and they led the way to 5 straight preseason wins for Cincinnati. But in their first pro game for keeps, it was the surprising Cleveland Browns and quarterback Brian Sipe who stole the show. Sipe teamed with a former Colorado University basketball star named Dave Logan on a 42-yard fly pattern to set up 1 field goal. Then the Cleveland ground game surprised Cincinnati with anonymous performers like number 38, Larry Poole. The Browns brought Cincinnati back to earth 13-3, and in the heady glow of their upset could be forgiven for delusions of grandeur. But the real #1 team in football was at home in the Oakland Alameda Coliseum, preparing to do a number on the San Diego Chargers. The Oakland Raiders never gave San Diego's revamped offense a chance to get started. San Diego quarterback James Harris had the matter taken out of his hands, and flashy Johnny Rodgers, number 20, found his Canadian football moves didn't wash in the NFL. Rodgers had a rough day as the Chargers, who had averaged 24 points a game during the preseason, were held to exactly 24 less than that by the Raiders. As always, the Oakland offense was in the capable hands of quarterback Snake Stabler and wide receiver Cliff Branch. In the end, Oakland had strummed the Chargers for the 8th straight time, in this case 24-zip. Another West Coast team was expected to win handily last week against their longtime patsy. The Los Angeles Rams had beaten the Atlanta Falcons 8 straight times, and with Joe Namath in legendary form, that streak didn't seem ready to end. Some Ram fans were worried when L.A. lost 5 of 6 preseason games, but Namath sent his team soaring to the early lead with a skyscraper to tiny Harold Jackson. However, the new Falcon head coach is an ex-Ram assistant named Lehman Bennett. He had provided the Atlanta defense with a detailed itinerary of the predictable comings and goings of the Los Angeles offense. For Joe Namath, it was deja vu time, a flashback to all those long afternoons he had spent examining the turf of Shea Stadium while he labored for the woeful Jets. Bennett added insult to injury by implementing the Los Angeles offense and running it better than the Rams did. Number 24, Haskell Standback, continued the form that made him the preseason's most prolific runner. And behind quarterback Scott Hunter, Atlanta ground out 2 dull but deadly touchdown drives. As for Namath, his afternoon slowly disintegrated with 3 sacks and a Ram attack which managed just 73 second-half yards. While the aggressive Falcons celebrated their first victory over Los Angeles since 1973 and a possible power shift in the NFC Western Division, Joe Namath contemplated an uncertain future with a new team, but the same old problems.